Hi everyone, welcome back to the Gypsy Caravan. I'm Shan. How are you doing? For today's tutorial, or makeup look rather, I'm going to be doing something cutesy, something like springtime, kind of inspired by Bridgerton. I was just inspired by the makeup that they wear on the show, which is kind of like blushy, fresh skin, pastel colors, that sort of thing. So that's kind of what I want to replicate for today's look. Also because we're now heading into our spring and summer season, so soft colors and bright colors are the thing. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Also, if you aren't aware, I do have another channel in which I do all my Showtime travel vloggy things, so I will stick that up here for you so that you can go and subscribe to that as well. This is strictly makeup, and then that channel is more like my travel stuff, just so you know. Also, don't forget to follow me on all social media platforms if you want to follow me for all my beauty content and my Gypsy Caravan freelancing business things and freelancing things and makeup tutorials. I will be under this handle right here. If you do wish to follow my more travel inspired videos and vlogs and things, I'll be under this handle, and you can find me absolutely everywhere, from Facebook to TikTok to Instagram to YouTube. Okay, cutting the chit chat, let's get into today's tutorial. This sort of makeup look is very easy to do, very simple, but still like really pretty. It's basically just to give the illusion of a really fresh, kind of sun-kissed, blushy sort of look. And I also want to share with you something that I stumbled across doing this makeup a while back, and it's something I used to do at MAC, so I'll walk you through that when we get there. The first thing I'm going in with is a glowy moisturizer. This is Strobecream by MAC. This is just the mini, like, travel size. I haven't used a full size in a while, so it doesn't actually look like this. The bigger bottles are they look like that. So this is just the travel size I'm trying to finish. Anyway, this is in the shade Pinklite. It comes in a whole bunch of different shades, or colors if you will. I normally go in with the peach light one just because that complements my skin more, but you take what you have and you move on. So I am just going to massage this into my skin. You can use whatever moisturizer or glowy base product you have first. I really like Strobecream because I have dryish-ish skin, yeah. And this just adds a boost of hydration and luminosity to my skin. Also, while I'm here, if you ever need to know what I'm using on my face, I will list everything down in the description box as well. But I'm going to show you everything I use, obviously. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to go in with, I'm going to do my skin first and then jump into eyes a little bit later, just because I feel like skin is the focal point of this makeup look, or tutorial rather. So, just so you know. So the next thing I'm going to go in with is a Illuminating or Luminous primer. I'm going to use the Spotlight from Physicians Formula. The reason why a lot of the products are going to be like very luminous-y and like dewy and like that type of thing, I do about a pump and a half, is because the makeup look is quite glowy. And also in springtime and summertime, you don't want to look dry. You want to look like you've got a healthy glow. You drink your 3 liters of water, even though I know I don't. But you just want to give the illusion that your skin is like well looked after, and it's hydrated and it's glowy and it's dewy and just looks nice. If that makes sense. Okay, so next product I'm going to go in with is a blurring primer. It is a little bit excessive to wear 2 primers, but for me, I feel like the type of skin that they have on that show is perfect. It's literally perfect. There's not a blemish, there's not a flaw, there's nothing on their skin. So we're going to try and kind of replicate that. So I have a blurring primer here. This is the Isabella Garcier Instaglam Blur and Perfecting Primer. It's a new primer. I've never really used this before, but every time I have used it since getting it, this is my first time using this primer ever, is what I'm trying to say. I do about a pump and a half. It's a clear, like, very silicone gel. But every time I have used this, it just grips the makeup on my skin, onto my skin. It blurs out everything, because I have insanely large pores right here and like down here. It just smooths out everything. It grips my makeup like you cannot believe. It's literally Gorilla Glue, in my opinion. And I feel like if you're the kind of person who has that problem where like your face just eats your makeup or like nothing sticks, this is definitely the primer that you need, because not only for its gripping power, but because it's very silicone-y or has like a lot of salicylic acid in it. I don't know, I'm gonna have to double check my facts there, but it's just the most incredible primer for blurring. It doesn't mattify the skin entirely, it still like provides hydration and like glow to the skin, but oh my gosh, I'm so impressed with this primer. It is thebomb.com. Okay, so moving on, the next step in our makeup tutorial is a foundation or a skin tint or any kind of base product that you want to wear. I'm going in with the skin tint. I'm using the Morphe 2 Hint and Skin Tint. I am in the shade Hint of Marshmallow. If you can hear that drilling, I apologize. My neighbor has decided to do all his construction work on a Sunday for the last 6 weeks. Anyway, this provides sheer to medium coverage. So it will give coverage, but like not a lot. And I kind of feel like a skin tint or a very light or sheer coverage foundation is kind of what they use on the show, just because the skin still needs to look like skin at the end of the day. So that's kind of something that I want to replicate. So that's why I'm going in with such a, Lord have mercy, that is why I'm going in with such a product. So I'm going to stop holding it up now, because I'm going to drop it and it's going to break, and I'm not going to be impressed, because this is one of my favorite foundations or skin tints at the moment. Anyway, I'm going to be applying that with a damp beauty sponge. This is my Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. Just go in with your foundation how you wish. I like doing it with the damp beauty sponge because it shears out the product nicely on the skin, blends it in really well as well, but also it just pushes it into the skin, so it doesn't look like you have foundation and whatever like sitting on your face. It's like gonna push it in. Just put your foundation on, okay? I'm only going to do one layer. I'm not going to build this up, because for me personally, I do prefer a light coverage foundation, or a skin tint, if you will, purely just because that is my preference. I could care less if you could see pimples, scars, blemishes, anything like that. That is not what bothers me. So long as it just evens out my skin tone, because I have a lot of redness in my face, then cool, we're done. But I also just personally do not like the way full coverage foundation looks and sits on my skin, no matter how well I blend it in, no matter how little I use. Like, none of that. That's just not what I like. I'm very much a serum person, a serum foundation person, or a skin tint person. What I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, I prefer sheer coverage foundation. Cool. So now that I've pushed all of this in, I am gonna head on up into concealer. So what I've noticed on the show, just for me, is that it doesn't look like they actually like conceal to brighten. They conceal to color correct, if that makes sense. So they don't have like the super bright under eye or like concealing to highlight kind of vibe. It's mainly like color correction, in my opinion, because it's hard to tell if they actually are wearing concealer. So I think I'm just gonna do or go along the same sort of route. So I'm going to go in with my Isabella Eyelights Concealer Highlighter. Even though it is labeled as a highlighter, this specific shade on my skin does not highlight at all. It actually just color corrects. And also because this specific shade oxidizes, it's going to come off with a tinge of peach, which is going to color correct but not brighten at all in the slightest. Also, this specific formula of highlighter concealer that I have here is super sheer, very thin, so it's not going to sit in any of the fine lines or creases or whatever I have underneath the eye here. I can go absolutely mental applying this product because it is still going to melt into my foundation and match my skin completely. You wouldn't even know I actually had this on my face if I didn't tell you. So I'm going to just go freaking mental, go crazy applying this underneath my eyes, and that is the only place I'm going to be applying this because that is where I have some discoloration. A little tip or trick, if you want your concealer or under eye highlighting product to be a little bit more full coverage and a tiny bit thicker, let it sit on your face for a few seconds. I'd say about 30 seconds to a minute, and then blend it out because it becomes a little bit more creamier and thickens up slightly with the heat of your face, so that when you go and blend it out, it is more full coverage. And then I'm just going to take the pointy bit of my sponge to blend this out because I still feel a damp sponge blends that concealer more naturally than a concealer brush by the tiniest bit. So already you can see how much that has just been cancelled out. It's still bright, but it's not brighter than the rest of my face. It's as if I don't have any under eye bags and I sleep 12 hours a day. So even though this sort of makeup tutorial doesn't call for powder, because I feel like the shades and undertones that peek through the skin in terms of like their blush, their bronzer, that type of thing is very much within the skin. It suggests that a lot of cream to liquid products were used. So that's exactly what I'm doing today, but I still need some of my shit set. So I'm going to go in with a translucent powder. This is the Infallible Pro Sweep and Lock Translucent Powder by Loreal. And I am only going to set underneath my eyes. Powder is not going to touch anywhere else on my face. I am just... oh, it's a mess. Shit, my powder's all over the place. I'm just going to set underneath my eyes, and I'm going to use a damp sponge to do that. Now, this may be intimidating because the sponge is damp, but trust me when I say that this gives the most flawless, smoothest finish underneath the eyes ever. So all I'm going to do is, the powder is all over the place, I'm just going to pick up a tiny bit, tap off whatever is loose, and I'm going to, well, if I can show you, just push that on the back of my hand to take off the excess, and then whatever's left on my sponge, I am going to push that in right underneath my eyes, and I'm literally only going to set where I put that highlighter concealer product. Reason being is because my under eyes tend to move around a lot and get crepey and creasy and all that, and I don't like that. I need that area to be smooth. Contouring and bronzing weren't specifically seen in the makeup look. Doesn't mean there wasn't any. Some shade and some dimension is still needed in the skin. So I'm going to go in with a liquid bronzer. And what this is going to do is just going to create the tiniest bit of shadow to sculpt the face, but it's not going to really provide like color or like super sharp contour. So for that, I'm going to go in with the Face and Body Foundation from MAC Cosmetics. This was a collection product, so you won't find this. It's in the shade Light Pearl, but you can use one or two shades of foundation that is darker than your skin to kind of do like a liquid contour, or you can go in with a cream bronzer or a cream contour or anything that you use to contour your face in terms of a cream or a liquid, go for it. If you don't, you can still use a powder, but then use something that's more cool toned and quite light. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Don't make it obvious. Just kind of sculpt the face, but don't make it look like you actually are contouring or bronzing your skin, is actually what I'm trying to say. Moving on, I'm going to be applying this with my damp sponge, and I'm just going to apply a teensy bit like that. And I just did a Vogue move there. I don't know what I was trying to do. I'm just going to push this in along my cheekbone. I do have a very round-ish to oval face, so angles for me is quite important. If you already have an angular face, then obviously you will want to soften everything by doing a more rounded technique. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for makeup, which is, stop talking. So I'm just going to push that in. So you can see there's just the tiniest inkling of a suggestion of a bronzer, and that's what we need. I am sitting in front of a window. I'm not using softbox lighting or a selfie light or anything like that. I'm using natural lighting because in the good old days they didn't have electricity and they sat in front of a window, so keeping it 100. And because it has a pearl reflect in it, it is quite a shimmery kind of bronzing product. It's going to add to the glow in the face, which is what we're trying to keep in with. We want to keep that nice natural skin-like textured glow in the face. So let's head into blush, which is now my favorite part. I've never been an avid blush wearer, but with all the amazing cream and liquid blushes that we have out there now, I've kind of been converted. So it's now my favorite thing to put on my face. And for today, we're going to be going in with 2 shades of blush. Is that excessive? Of course it is. This is makeup. When is anything not excessive? But the reason why I'm going in with 2 shades today is because I'm going to teach you something that I kind of did back when I was working on Count at Mac. I dubbed it for myself 3D blush. If someone has already come up with this technique, then good for them. I'm sure they have. I have seen it on Mac's Instagram page and stuff countless of times. But essentially all it is, it's just a freaking ombre blush technique. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be using the warmer, slightly deeper shade of blush to contour. Not contour, but just create depth. And then we're going to be using the lighter shade of blush to highlight. But it's going to be in like an ombre type of thing. I used to do this at MAC with three blushes. I'm just going to be using 2 today to keep it simple. So the blushes that I'm going to be using is the Glow Play blushes by MAC. They're cream textured, so they work really well with skin and keeping in with the type of makeup that we are doing today. So the peachier shade that I'm using, which looks like that, is called That's Peachy. So it's like a orange peachy kind of shade. And then the shade that I'm going to be using to highlight with is this disgusting pink called No Shame. The reason why I say disgusting pink is because if you know me, I do not like pink, but for some freaking reason this looks amazing on my skin, so I'm going to be using it. I will be using my fingers and a damp sponge to apply because it is a cream product, and by warming it up with your body's heat, it melts into the skin really nicely. So I'm going to go in with the peachy shade first and just pick some of that up, get it on my finger, and where you would kind of highlight is where this is going. So I am just going to push that in here, and I am pushing along my cheekbone. I normally highlight quite far up, but like I said, we need to create dimensions, so I am pushing this all along the cheekbone and pulling that back. And you're going to push this in until it is as blended as you feel it should be. I'm then going to take my sponge and just kind of push that in. Cute. Just going to do the other side. Okay, so now that we have our peachier shade down, we're going to go into the pink, which is No Shame. Clean finger, obviously. Pick up some of that product. And we're going to kind of keep this quite high up. we're going to use this to highlight the skin and add that really nice flush that you see in the girls on the show. Keep it like really sweet. I'm also going to take the tiniest amount across the bridge of my nose, just to make it look like we've been out in the sun a little, and then the tiniest bit on the tip of my nose, just like the tiniest bit. I'm not going to push this in with a sponge because I do want the pink to be a little bit more prominent, just because if I had to blend out the pink, it would disappear completely, because this pink is quite pungent and sheer at the same time. And we still have the glow in the skin, obviously. So the next product I'm going to go in with is what's going to just kind of pull in and tie in this glow that we've got going into our skin. So I'm going to go in with the Ciate London Dewy Stick. It looks like that. It doesn't have a shade, it's just a dew stick. Let me show you. It's literally that. We are going to go in with that. It doesn't have any color, it doesn't have any scent or anything. It's literally just the type of product that when you warm it up, it provides that, like, you can't even actually see it. It provides that like wet, glassy look to the skin. And we're going to be applying a little bit of that to the cheeks, just for obvious reasons, the glow. So I'm going to warm up this product against my finger on the stick. I don't know if you can see that. See, it's like wet looking. I'm going to tap off some of the excess, and I am just going to apply this to the tops of my cheeks here. Not a lot, because this does tend to eat the makeup slightly. So I'm only using the tiniest bit, and I'm just taking my time tapping it in, not like pushing it in, because I don't want to like lift the makeup underneath it. So now that the skin is done, let's complete the rest of the face by doing like the brows and the eyes and the lips, of course. Now for the brows, I'm not going to overcomplicate things. Keep things brushed up and fairly simple. So I'm going to go in with the Thick It Stick It Thickening Brow Mascara by NYX. I am in the shade TISIO 1 Taupe. And basically all I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush this into my brows, back on themselves, just catching the hairs, and then I'm going to try and create kind of like a brushed up soap brow kind of thing, because I feel like that's what most of the brows looked like in the series. They had natural-esque brows, so I'm not going to deviate from that. I'm just going to extend this one slightly because it's a little bit shorter than the other. That. Cool, so that's all I'm doing with my brows. I'm just brushing them up. I'm not going to overcomplicate this anymore, and I feel like this looks a little bit more youthful and fresh and more like not so made up and not so done up. It just keeps things like really natural. I don't know how to get like my fluffy brow look. I do have tutorials on my channel that you can watch to get that fluffy brow routine. I'm just going to quickly prime my eyes, and I'm using my Paintpot and my 286 brush from MAC to just prime my lids. I'm not going to be doing like a major eye look because that's not really what they did, but I do want to just add a little something to the eyes. So prime your lids, and then I am just going to go in with that same translucent powder to set the primer on my lids. It's not a step you have to do. I just like doing it because it smooths out the surface, so it just makes it easily accessible to blending, if that makes sense. For eyes, I'm going to keep it super simple. I'm going in with my pink red palette that I've created for myself. You can buy all these products at MAC and fill it with your own eyeshadows. So you can buy the palette, you can buy the insert and all the eyeshadows, and create for yourself your own custom palette. This is my pink and red one, and we're going to go in with this milkshaky pastel-y pink. It looks white on camera, but it's actually like a really fair pink. I'm going to go in with this shade here. It's called Flock and Roll. It was part of collection, but any pale pastel-y pink that you have will work. You can even totes go in with a blush I wouldn't normally recommend a blush on your eyes unless you have tried it before, but blushes are really nice for the eyes because they're made for the skin, so they're made to be like light and sheer, and that's all we need. It's just like a light wash of color. I'm going in with my 286 and then just like swirl it in there, tapping off the excess, and I'm just going to diffuse this into the crease, across the lid. You won't see it at all on camera because that's how light this pink is, but it is just quite a nice base color to start with, and it matches my blush a little, so that's why I decided to go in with it. Okay, so then the next color I'm going to go in with is this shade right here. It's kind of like a corally sort of pink. It's called Sushi Flower, and it has the tiniest little bit of a shimmer in it. I'm going to pick up my 286 brush again. I'm going to just pick up a little bit of that eyeshadow, tiny bit, just a little, and I'm going to use this just on the outer corner and in the crease just to give some definition. It's not going to be like a lot, just for some color. And with a light hand and a fluffy brush like this, it makes it easier to build up color if you need to, but I'm not going to. I just want like that whisper of pink in the outer corner and in the crease. And then as the product begins to leave the brush, I'm going to pick up some more of that Flock and Roll and just go over the edges. I want this to be Valentine's Day soft. And if you don't know what that means, neither do I. It just came out. That's kind of the effect that you want, just like this really airy, powdery pink crease and outer corner. Now that we have this really soft romantic situation going on in my eyes at the top, I am now going to take everything that I've put on the top and bring it down to underneath my eye. I'm still going to keep with this big fluffy brush because I like the diffusion that it gives, and I like the fact that sometimes my eyeshadow and my blush like melt into each other and it kind of like drapes. Done, that's my thing. So again, we're going to go in with some of that Flock and Roll, and we're just going to go underneath the eye and connect it up to this outer corner situation. And then again, back into some of that Sushi Flower. And I'm going to keep this only on the outer corner of my eye. Do not need that. So just the outer corner here. And I'm just going to jiggle it slightly so that you have like that really pulled up nice effect. Obviously they didn't wear glitters and things in the show. I'm just putting like my own little spin on it now. So I'm gonna go in with a pressed glitter. I'm gonna go in with this one here. It's from the Shiny Pretty Things collection by MAC. So it's probably not around anymore, but they do definitely have this sort of texture of eyeshadow and probably a similar color on counter. You just need to like look for it. It's called P for Pink. And I'm just going to be applying it with my finger. So I am just going to pick up a little bit of that. On my finger, so that's kind of what it looks like. It's a goldish eyeshadow with like a pink reflect. And I'm just going to push that into the first 2/3 of my eye. It's a really sticky glitter, so it will stick. Clean up the rest so that you kind of have that nice like glittery reflect on the eye. Okay, so I started doing my lashes, and being is because I have a lash tutorial coming real soon to my channel, so look out for that, because lash routines are not really like common on here, and I feel like a lash routine is still important. So I'm going to show you how I get my lashes to look like this without false lashes in a video coming soon. But anyway, so the mascara I'm using is by Essence. It's the Mini Eye Heart Extreme Crazy Volume Mascara. It looks like that. Just did my top lashes. I'm going to do my bottom lashes now. It is quite an excessive routine, which I feel like is probably the reason why not a lot of people do them on here. But it honestly makes all the difference when you just go that extra step to do your mascara. Then for like just the general highlighting around the face, I'm going to go in with my Hyper Real Glow palette. It's the pinky-ish one. Taking the 286 again, I'm going to mix a little bit of the center one, which is a pink highlight, with the first one, which is like a frosty vanilla pink. And I'm going to use that to highlight my brow bone and a little bit across my nose. And then just going in with that vanilla pink shade, I'm going to use that in my inner corner to highlight there. I'm not going to do like excessive highlighting. I just want to bring some light into that area so that my eyes don't look totally closed off. Then just to give the skin a little bit more of a luminous finish, I'm going to go in with my Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. Couple sprays of that, and just as it's setting, I'm going to go in with my sponge and just push everything in so that everything melts and marries together. That did not taste good. For lips, because I feel like they had that like really glossy, soft, juicy kind of lip pencil I'm going in with is In Sync by MAC. This color is not made anymore, so any nude or pinky pencil that you have can go in with that. I've got lip conditioner on already, which is why my lips look kind of glossy. It's just to soften the lips up so that my pencil and lip glosses and things glide. Got me looking quite chav, yes. My choice of lip gloss is Saint Germain by MAC. It's a pale pinkish lip gloss that I feel will just work with this. The whole reason I did the nude pencil first is so that the pink really stands out, but also it neutralized a little because this pink is like pink. Okay, so there we have it, a kind of springtimey Bridgerton inspired makeup look. The lip gloss washes me out a little bit, but I did say I wanted something natural, so I'm living with the consequences. I could even do just something with like a slight touch of color, maybe. Let's try this. Yeah, they kind of warm things up a little bit, but not by much, so I'm not going to add it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it and that you can and that you recreate this look for yourself at home. And if you do, please tag me in so I can see. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel at the end of this video. I will also have previous tutorials linked at the end of this video so that you can go through and watch some of those. Also, don't forget to like and share this video. Also, don't forget to follow me on all social media. Don't forget, this is the handle that you need to follow. Until then, have a great day further, and don't forget, wherever you can, refer the Gypsy Caravan. Bye!